Nish, Vaha agus a Búrúis Ligadéir Fáilte Roiv. You're all very welcome here, especially the members of the Rice family. I see them all around me here. Michael, and there's a Mike someplace, and there's a Nora, I think, and they're all very welcome. They don't know it, but they're actually related to royalty. They were kings of Wales in the far distant past. There's royal blood there. I'm sure when they bleed, it's actually blue. Now, coming up today, I was actually going to get into the humour of this thing. I was going to get a Louis XVI uniform. And I was going to get a Marie Antoinette outfit for my wife. A big high-headed hair, but unfortunately she wasn't going to have any of that. So at the right moment I was going to say to her, you know, there are no more canopies down there. And of course she would say, oh well, let them eat. Anyway, I'd like to start with my little contribution by saying that two people inspired me for this role. One was Father Canon, actually, Jack McKenna, who lived about 100 yards down there. A great historian, a great old friend of mine, a real inspiration. And the second man was Micheál Ó Dubháin from Dunquin, who taught a whole generation of history buffs here in Dingle. To get the book produced, it involved a lot of help from a lot of people. So I'll run down through them very quickly. Liam O'Goheen was around there someplace. There he is at the end of the camera. He started the whole thing. There was a lady in New Zealand who saw his work and sent me some stuff on the rights, and that started the whole story off. There was a German historian, Helmut Gabel. There was a historian from Liège in Belgium, in Vienna, Austria. And there's a small little town in Germany called Brand. They have a historical society. They have their own little historical magazine. And in that there were 3 articles on Count Rice. So I've been in contact with them. And he's well known in Brand. There's actually a historical society more or less about Count Rice in Germany. There's also one in England, and there's also one in Belgium, over the border from Aachen and from Brand. People in Paris, Isabella Haviland, she helped me as well. Sorika Kane, our dear friend Owen's daughter, was married and just had a baby in Spain. She helped me with some translations in Spanish, and wouldn't Owen enjoy to be here today. Diarmaid Feile, Professor of Modern History in UCD, he gave me very important advice and help. Dr. Declan Downey at Tarbert, UCD also. I think Declan could well be here today, but I haven't seen him yet. He was very encouraging all through this project. Taigo Kilon and all the other members, they were always extremely supportive. Joe too, of course, thank you Joe, and Donald Lynchik, who's around here someplace, both old friends from our days in Dublin as teachers. Now, 2 people must get special mention. The designer of the book is Pavel Staunton and his company, the Design Gang Tralee. It is really a beautiful piece of work. Thanks to Pavel. The editor, whom I was teaching years ago, and I used to use the red boiler on his work. And very later when he got his chance, he got the red boiler out to me. He didn't spare it. He did an outstanding job, absolutely wonderful. I owe him an awful lot. He was way above and beyond the call of duty. And of course the printers, Walsh's of Castleisland, they deserve a word too. Jim Garvey, his wife Fiona, his family are around here someplace. And the staff of Benners, they've all been extremely supportive and helpful. Thank you very much for that. Now, get on to the book. There are 2 parts to it really. There's the Dingle part, and there's another part that we never knew about. Now we thought that Count Rice was our hero, that nobody else knew about him really. But when you think about it, he didn't do much in Dingle really. Marie Antoinette never stopped in Dingle, she never landed in Dingle. She never went to Foxy John's down the road from the place. Or James Gordon's I may add, or in these places. She never actually came. The existence of the plot is the important thing, and of course that plot, you could take it from me, that plot is genuine. It did happen. I can give you details of 12 different plots, all genuine, and ours is the most genuine of them all, I think. You might never have heard of it. There's a place called Wiscasset in Maine, and they have a house there called the Marie Antoinette House. And guess who was coming to the house? Marie Antoinette. The name of the boat was the Sally, the captain was Captain Cloch, and the owner of the boat was James Swan. They have their story about Marie Antoinette. We have our story about Marie Antoinette. We have the sources to prove it. I think our story is better, actually. That's the first thing. So there's a load taken off my mind as well. If I discovered something about the great Dingle legend, I should drop the whole thing. But it's actually got better as time went on. I think, added to the legend of James Louis Rice. So that's a great relief to me anyway. They came out like that. Now you all know the story, of course, and that she was supposed to know how far advanced the story was. But she had her chance, and unfortunately she didn't take it. I followed her trail around Europe. I went to Versailles, I went to Vienna, to the Schönbrunn Palace, and I stood in the Place de la Révolution, My French is crap, as you can see. In the evening time, and the cars were swimming around, and there's the place she was executed. Now, if she'd taken James Louis's wife's advice, she could be here in Dingle. And died of old age. Now, I'm going to keep this very short because it's all in the book, and it is a good read, even though I say so myself. No credit to me, it's all credit to James Louis Rice. But we have to accept one thing, that we have to share our hero with other places. I spent a few days in Bath, in the most magnificent address, the Royal Crescent in Bath. 30 beautiful houses, and he stayed in number 8. And he distinguished himself there, not in a good way, I have to say. They're still talking about him over there. And in the archives in Bath, there's a small bit of his sword, just the hilt of his sword, that he used in a duel. That's why there are 2 pistols on the cover of the book. He fought a duel in Bath and killed a man. Now that man, if he was a Joe Soap, we'd hear no more about Rice. But he was a very important guy, a notorious guy called the Marquis du Barry. And he's the key to Count Rice's fame. When you kill somebody famous, you become famous yourself. John Wilkes Booth would have died, an obscure actor, only for the fact that he killed Abraham Lincoln. Anyway, our man became quite famous all over Europe. Now, I can't really explain how he met the Holy Roman Emperor, Joseph II. How did he hobnob with these people? He spent an absolute fortune gambling. We're talking about millions in today's money. It's all documented in the book. Where did it come from? I don't know. He sold his lands in Kerry about 1890. And that's the only time I can pin him down to Dingle. He was born in Ballymacaddoyle across the harbour from my house. It's the first thing I see in the morning is Ballymacaddoyle in the sunshine. He didn't spend much time there. This house was built about 1750, so he was long gone from Dingle at that time. So if he came back, he stayed up there. He was born back in Ballylickendlee. I don't want to give too much away, but it's been a fascinating journey. I have a huge impression. Absolutely massive impression. In Bath, they're still talking about it. In Aachen, they're still talking about it. And in Liège. So look, that's all I want to say, I suppose, really. I hope you enjoy the book. He was a swashbuckler. It's a word I've only used twice in the book. It's an overused word, but he was a swashbuckler, a duelist, a dedicated gamester. Now, trust me, he was dedicated. You're talking serious money here. An entrepreneur, a secret agent, a rescuer of a damsel in distress, Queen Marie Antoinette, and even though he was born here in Dingle, he was certainly a man of the world. So look, fágam mín siúd mar a háisiú, but a míle maith agat, Bealtaine agus an leabhar.